Let's go to another company that reported results today. On July 31, after a protracted delay, Suncorp officially sold its banking business to the ANZ for $4.1 billion. It also sold Asteron Life, a life insurance business, which leaves Suncorp as a pure property and casualty insurer. For the year, gross premiums rose 14% to $14.1 billion. Cash profit up 16.6%, $1.37 billion. But I should note that does include the banking business. The Suncorp annual dividend is up by 18 cents a share. But the big question is, what will Suncorp do with the $4.1 billion it got last month from ANZ? So I asked CEO Steve Johnson that question a little earlier.
Yeah, look, I think the strategic rationale, Ross, for doing what we did on the bank was not because we wanted to do it or because I woke up one morning and said we're going to sell the bank. I could see the capital consumption insurance rivalling that with the capital consumption with banking. I could see the need to replace core systems in both businesses. I could see the challenges that regional banks were going to face, and I could see the challenges that insurers were going to face. So my job doesn't get any easier, but I'm not going to be in a position where we have to allocate capital or throw a coin up in the air and say we're going to put money into insurance at the expense of banking or vice versa. And that's, I think, the big strategic rationale for doing what we did and why we persevered with it through a sort of almost a 4-year program.
So the interesting thing will be to look back in 5 or 10 years' time and see whether banking might have been the right way to go or whether insurance was the right way to go. At the moment, insurance is in a sweet spot. Investment markets are strong. You can raise premiums at this stage. Is that the way you read it?
Yes, I do, and I think in 10 years' time the decision will be vindicated because I think regional banks are going to continue to struggle. They don't have the same scale as the major banks, and they're going to have to invest in scams and cyber and AML and all the things that banks have to invest in because banking is the lowest common denominator. You cannot have the financial system impacted by a big bank or a small bank. So I think that decision was the right one. I think our insurance business has the scale. So we're the second largest insurer in Australia and New Zealand. I think that scale is important. And if we leverage that well and we create the digital insurer of the future that we're looking to build, I think we'll be a very successful organisation.
So the $4.1 billion you've got from ANZ for the bank, how will you deploy that capital? Will it all go back to shareholders?
Yeah, we anticipate sending the majority of that back to shareholders. Obviously, we've got some processes that we have to go through with ANZ on completion accounts, with the ATO, with APRA, and with our own shareholders to get the approvals that we need. And that's going to take a little bit of time, probably early next calendar years when we'll get those proceeds back. But our intention, as it has been with all the other divestments that we've done, to make this business simpler, is to repatriate those capital proceeds back to shareholders and continue forward with the businesses that we've got.
Well, I did mention one reason why the earnings are so strong at the moment is because you've been able to raise premiums. A lot of people look at insurers and see that as being inflationary right now. Now, is that simply you recovering costs and raising your prices, or is there something more systemic there?
Yeah, look, I've got a lot of sympathy for customers, obviously. These are, very big increases that we've been seeing for the last 2 or 3 years. I make the point, though, Ross, that over the last 5 years we've dealt with 700,000 natural hazard claims, $9 billion of cost. The input costs that we rely on, the reinsurers and the natural hazard allowances that we have to put aside, have gone up by over $1 billion in the last 5 years. So unfortunately, a lot of that has had to be passed on to our customers, and that's come at the same time as there's widespread inflation in the economy. So these increases are unfortunate. We don't like to have to do that, but we've had to do that to make our business sustainable and so that we can get on and manage the claims for the big events that we unfortunately are seeing all too regularly in Australia and New Zealand.
And are those increases, are they ongoing in your mind?
I think they'll moderate, so they will moderate in line with inflation. I think the reinsurance markets in our last renewal were very constructive. So that was a good sign. That's good stabilisation in those global markets. Inflation is starting to come off in motor and over time in home. There's some challenges in home with issues inside the home now, flexi piping, water damage, escape of liquids inside homes and fire from lithium batteries, creating higher severity claims. So there's still some challenges to work through, but I think inflation moderates, premium levels will moderate alongside that.
You'd be conscious that the government's got a plan to build 1.2 million additional homes over the next 5 years. I just want to read something from your report today. You talk about one problem in terms of pricing of insurance is the town planning mistakes of the past. Just describe why that's an issue, and is building 1.2 million extra homes potentially even another risk?
Yeah, look, I'm not arguing with the fact that we need to build more homes in Australia, but I'm just saying that over 100 years we've allowed the people to build homes and buy homes in places that they should never have been allowed to build or buy in. Now, through no fault of their own, they had all the right approvals. They found themselves in areas where, it wasn't the right place to build at the start, and climate change is just making it worse. And so those people are the ones that are sitting on the end of the steepest of these insurance premium increases, and they're the ones that have to deal with the psychological impacts of having these events roll through. It seems to be far too regularly. So I don't think we should replicate those challenges of the past. We should by all means build homes, but they should be conscious that they're building them in the right place, with the right approvals and with the right mitigation against the impact of climate change and frequency and severity of weather.
But doesn't that go to local government, to state government, which allow these homes to be built in vulnerable areas anyway?
Absolutely, and I think, far too long we've had finger pointing between all levels of government. This is a national response. We need a national response. We need tax reform. It's ridiculous to me that 45% of an insurance premium in a state like New South Wales goes to goods and services tax, stamp duty and emergency services levy on a home insurance product. We should be reducing the impact of taxes on home insurance. We should be subsidising people to improve the quality of their homes. Why can you get a subsidy to put a solar panel on your roof, but you can't get a subsidy to make your home protected against a Category 5 cyclone? So there's a whole lot of things that we can do in conjunction with the government. It's not all the government's fault. Insurers have got to step up as well.
But one other aspect of that, if we go to it, is that the fact is that people, as they come out there with increased costs, suddenly say, I can't afford the insurance anymore.
Yeah, well, the worst situation for Australia is that people step out of the insurance market. I go to so many homes in the immediate aftermath of these events, and I see people who don't have any insurance cover or are underinsured, and the impact of the event on them psychologically relative to the person who's got full cover. Everyone's traumatised by these events, but if you've got insurance there as the backstop and you've got a good insurance company sitting behind you, your ability to work your way through those life-changing events is far greater than if you've left exposed. So we all have to work together, government at all levels and the insurance industry and insurance companies, to provide maximum availability of insurance. That's in everyone's interest, particularly the national interest.
Steve Johnson, always good to chat to you. Many thanks for your time.
Thanks, Ross.